Hello, one and all, and welcome to the MyRepublic Rocket Cup. This is our 5th Rocket Cup, and we are excited as always to bring you some amazing games. As always, the Rocket Cup is presented by the Amateur Oceanic Esports and sponsored by the one and only MyRepublic Gamer. I am one of your casters for the night, Opara, and it's great to be back. I'm super excited to cast for you all tonight, and with me, I have the legendary Peronius.
Legendary might be a bit of a stretch, but nonetheless, thank you for the introduction. It's great to be here. It's great to be back once again for another Rocket Cup brought to us by MyRepublic Gamers. And that's right, it's time for the introduction of our sponsor. Stay home with the #1 provider for broadband gaming. MyRepublic offers fixed broadband plans and services that provide ultra-low, ultra-stable latency connections, optimizing your gameplay experience. Enjoy exciting privileges, special gaming offers, and exclusive access to specialized gamer perks. Visit myrepublic.net to check them out today.
Awesome stuff. Now, if you haven't been to or seen the Rocket Cup before, here's a quick rundown for you so you've got the gist of what's going on here tonight. We run the Rocket Cup on the last Sunday of every second month, and it usually lasts 4 to 5 hours with a bunch of teams playing together. The players in these teams can sign up individually or in a group of up to 3, and then are sorted into teams by the AAOL Sports. The Rocket Cup is about having fun, making new friends, and just in general having some good games of Overwatch. And of course, like I said, players get sorted into teams, 6 teams, and they're based on an average SR and role nomination so that all the teams are fair and balanced. We've got a group stage, which these teams will be split into groups of A, B, and C, and they will compete in a round-robin bracket, which then leads to the finals, where the top team from each group will enter the finals to determine the victor for the night.
Absolutely. So there's no full pre-made 6 teams here at all. At most, you've got like a pre-made 3-man, and certainly we've got some names that we've probably seen together a few times in previous ones in some of these teams. I'm looking forward to seeing what we get up to. Our first match tonight will be between Team 4 and K3C2R, which just rolls off the tongue wonderfully. Thank you for choosing that name. And after them, we'll be going over to Team 1 versus the Low Rolls. We've got some games coming up throughout the night as well. We're looking forward to, down the track, Team 13 versus Team 11, Team 7 versus Team 8, Team 10 versus Team 2. But our first 2 matches will both be in the Group A of those groupings, which means only one of these 4 groups will be going through to our playoffs. We'll get a chance to have a look at all of them in our... all of them? Is there only 4 teams in Group 1? I should have noted that down. I think there might only be... No, there are 5 teams in Group A, so one of them must have a bye for the first round. So we'll get a look at a lot of the Group A in those first 2 rounds there, and that'll give us an idea of, I suppose, what we can expect from Team A going into the playoffs. As we move on later in the broadcast, we'll see some of the teams from the other groups as well. But on to our first 2 teams tonight. And certainly we've got some interesting lineups here. Just having a look at the document, it gives us a little more information. Obviously, them not being pre-made teams, it's hard to estimate exactly what we're going to be seeing from them. But Team K3C2R definitely has a very strong support line, very experienced support line. And we'll see how that plays out over the battlefield. Whereas Team 4 have a very strong DPS line. Can a strong DPS carry the game? Do you need a strong foundation more? It'll sort of be a bit of a matchup there between these 2 teams, I would say.
Absolutely. We've got some really interesting matchups right now. The average SR is sitting around 2,900 between these teams, so pretty close matchup there. And like you said, looking at the teams, definitely the supports are going to be very interesting to watch. Most of them say they can play any support apart from Real Speedy, just really stating his case on the Ana Moira Mercy. So we're going to want to keep an eye out for Real Speedy, but also the fact that if you're confident on any support, that means you're going to be bringing us some good games tonight.
Absolutely. Our first map tonight for the first round will be Nepal, and then following that we'll be going through Rialto, Hanamura, and if we need to, Lijiang Tower. These matches will be a best of best of 3 to a first to 2 in terms of the scoreline, and the maps will change every round and have all been pre-selected. So there's no advantage in being able to pick which map you're going to in a best of 3 first to 2 sort of series. That can be a bit of an overwhelming edge. So we've just got a pre-selected map pool which is changing every round. Will give us a lot of variety on maps to see. Starting out here in the ball, looks like we will be in Shrine for our first round here.
Now, we've got 2 compositions being brought to the table. It looks like Team 4 is wanting to bring the Rhine Zarya. Meanwhile, K3 C2R is bringing us a little bit of Monkey Zarya. So it's going to be interesting to see whether Winston here is going to be able to bring a little bit more pressure onto that backline. Hopefully with the Zarya bubbles, he can get some good dives. But we do see Tracer coming into the backline, trying to harass Real Speedy on the Moira here. Zarya is answering to that, so yeah, Remark is falling low and he gets taken down, but at the same time, FT1 has taken down Combat Wombat. It's gonna give Team 4 a little bit more aggression. They're pushing up, but Ringo Stars is punishing it right now. It's back and forth. That's what we're looking at right now. The cap is going to Team 4, and Lucio is now having to pull back.
Yeah, absolutely. An interesting first round there. It always does hurt when you lose your main tank so early in the fight. Combat Wombat going down there super early just means that the tank line of their opponents over on K3 able to just move forward, take up all this space, and really shut out the opposing DPS. And that's how you win games. So absolutely crucial. And sure enough, we've seen the swap back onto the Reinhardt now from Combat Wombat as a result of that Real Speedy initiating with the Coalescence.
The Coalescence has come out, and Spooky is trying to play aggressive here, but he gets hacked. There is a grab coming out, connecting on to Lucio. They do manage to get the punish on that, and Ringo's fallen as well. So it's not looking good for K3 right now. Just Zarya and Moira straggling behind.
Yeah, just a bit of a reset there from a few remaining members. Team 4 in commanding control at this point. And, I mean, it's always a risk when you bring out the Torbjorn, right? Fruitcake on Torbjorn, bit of an interesting play. It can work really well on these control points if you're able to get set up. But it really, you're providing maybe limited benefit in that first team fight. They win through the first team fight now. And that Torbjorn Ultimate Online is going to make it so hard to push in now. Here it comes.
Getting aggressive. You can see it here. Team 4 coming up. The Molten Core, the Shatter from Spooky here. But Chef on the Junkrat, he's making work of them right now. A beautiful mine, taking out Moira and Tracer. And now here comes Combat Wombat Shatter. He swapped late, but he's built up the Shatter when he needs it. The grab came out as well, trying to just win this point. They need to get it before they get to a 90%, 99%. You want to get them away from their high amount of time on the point, and they do get it to 94% here. Tracer now just harassing in the back line. Meanwhile, Torb Fruitcake set up his turret just to harass them once more, but they are falling back.
Yeah, I think at 94%, you're still not really going to get into the team fight. They're probably going to need to lock down this point. The fact that they used both the Grav and Shatter in this fight is a little painful, but Combat Wombat already 75% to his next Shatter, so that damage maybe not as bad as it could have been.
And an early kill onto Spooky is going to absolutely shut down this push for Team 4 right now. Coalescence came out, didn't get much value, but I mean, keeping the team alive and stopping the fight, that's enough right there.
Yeah, they need to get through this. They're going to have another probably two fights that they need to defend against here. They've got a fair few ultimates online, but they need to ration them out. They definitely don't want to use both Ringo's ult and Chef's in the same fight, and here comes the Tire.
And there's the Tire, and there's a Shatter from Combat as well. This is not looking good. A huge Pulse Bomb taking down 2 right there. Spooky with the charge and the Fire Strike taking down the other 2. That is devastating right there for K3.
Yeah, that's going to be that. I don't think they can get anyone back to this point. And sure enough, they can't. Good, clean take there off the back of a great Pulse Bomb from Remark, really opening up that fight. That DPS combo, they played that so well. Normally, there's a bit of a risk in running like the Pharah Widow because you've got 2 long-range poke heroes. It means you don't have anyone that can get in and chase down the kills if you don't secure them. And you know what? That's not a problem if you just secure all of those kills, which is exactly what was happening they were just slamming them in. Anytime that, you know, someone who was able to provide our damage a bit more consistently was needed, it was a short-range Reinhardt hammer away, and it was just a dominant takedown for that full hold here. They have to push this payload a mere 40 meters just around that first corner, and there's the yellow box of victory. It's going to be really hard to hold out. And perhaps unsurprisingly, we're going to see the Bastion coming out to try and make this one work. But I dare say we are looking at a Team 4 victory here.
Now, the Bastion, that is just, I mean, I love to see a Bastion sort of bunker comp. It's just so much cheese coming through. If you're lactose intolerant, you don't want to deal with it. But this is just going to be sad to watch, I feel. They are responding, though. Chef has gone Bastion as well. So, I mean, whoever bunkers up better could potentially win this. So it's going to be interesting to see this here. Spooky on the Sigma as well, which I respect as a Sigma player. I do respect the Sigma play. And it looks like they're going
Yes, they're doing it. I was thinking, oh, the best play here with the Bastion would be just go around the back. And that's exactly what they're doing here. Trying to get across that bridge. Sadly, we don't see an instance where K3 are all set up on that high ground and completely out of position to deal with this, but it does not matter. Remark getting the opening kill onto Ringo, and they're just going to push through here and grind down the defenders.
They have taken down Remark, but Spooky has taken down Chef respectively. I think this is going to be it there. Someone just needs to get onto point. There is a res coming through by Real Speedy. The bubble got the res off, but then Mercy died from that fruitcake, just burning them down. I don't think they even want to... Okay, no, now Remark's going to go sit on that payload, and they're just going to bunker up and make sure that you can't even get out of, like, first point there. This is just so well thought out. Such a good plan, and it's worked perfectly for them.
Yeah, it's absolutely what you want to do. You take out the enemy position, you don't let them bunker up where they can defend in these choke points, then you go back and get the payload. It's exactly what they do, and unfortunately, K3 not able to get on that payload, get past the defense that's holding that ground. Almost got a touch from the Junkrat, but not quite. So that will be a swift 2-0 victory here for Team 4, off the back of some incredible play here in the second map from this DPS duo.
Now, such a dominant force, Remark and Fruitcake. We talked about them a little bit, but then this second map, they just showed us what they were made of, realistically. That was incredible to watch. So much fun. And I think one of the big reasons that it was so dominant as well was because we saw the DPS constantly trying to swap, trying to find something to deal with them, and they lost all their ult charge every time because of it. Not that they could build up much ult charge in the first place. But
yeah, I think they did need to swap, though. They needed to find some solution to that.
Yeah.
It's just, in the end, what is the solution to that? It's very difficult. If you don't have anyone who can go toe-to-toe with those sorts of DPS when they're playing that kind of composition, it can be really hard, especially with the environment there on that first point. All the narrow chokes with the long sight lines, it plays very well into a Pharah Widow there. And if you can't sort of match that with your own sort of long-range things, if you can't bring out a Widow to take out those, you probably need to look at maybe getting like a flank force to go around and try and take them out. Maybe trace a Sombra to go after the Widow, take down her, then try and hack the Pharah out of the sky. But in that time, you've kind of got the rest of the team sitting around on their hands as well. Like, it's hard. It is very hard to deal with a very skilled Pharah and Widow if you can't go toe-to-toe to them with your DPS. So you've got to try and find something that works. In the end, they weren't able to in the mere 4 minutes they had.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to move to a quick 5-minute break while we get the next teams ready, so we'll see you in 5.
ready? Yeah, what's up with it?
Welcome back, everyone, to the 5th Rocket Cup, brought to you by MyRepublic Gamer and Australian Amateur Oceanic Esports. I know our name. That's all right. I've only been doing this for 2 years. I'm Peronius, as I'm sure many of you know by now. Back with me again is Opara, and we have just finished up our first match of the night between Team K3C2R versus Team 4, which saw a blistering victory for Team 4. Very well played out from those two. Coming up next will be Team 1 versus the Low Rolls. And I'm excited about this one because the Low Rolls, well, looking at things ahead of time, they were sort of my favorite at getting out of this Group A, although I'd be very interested in catching out how they shake up against Team 4 after that one. But sadly, we won't get a chance to watch that one on broadcast, but it's we'll definitely update it as it happens throughout the broadcast, because yeah, those two teams probably looking really good to be the ones that go forward into playoffs from the first group. The Low Rolls, they're just looking like a really strong team all around. Very strong tank line with a solid support line backing them up as well. That said, Team 1, they're looking pretty good across the board as well. No real obvious strengths or weaknesses as far as I could see. So, definitely a flexible team that could handle themselves quite well. We'll see if it's enough. The low rolls are looking really good. Couple of big names in here that I'm sure people in the OCE scene definitely know, and we'll see those as we get into the match. What are your thoughts, Oppo? I've been walking on for a bit.
So yeah, I mean, this is interesting because these teams have 7 players each, so they've got the sub-ins if they need it. So just having that player who, if necessary, can kind of respond to one of their players that might be doing really well and they think they need to shut down a bit more could come in handy. I believe both of the subs are for tanks, so that's going to be just quite interesting to see how that dynamic brings into it. And I mean, considering the last game it was Team 4 and Team 3 became K3 C2R, it'll be interesting to see whether teams that rename themselves do better or worse. Let's see if it's a common theme or not. That's my superstition coming into this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the big player to watch in this matchup definitely has to be Mr. Buggerlugs himself from the low rolls. GM tank player, by the way. So definitely someone that's going to need to be handled and controlled. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Team 1 to do just that. As you say, they've got 3 tank players. It looks like it will be Braxter and Susan starting in this one. Maybe. They have 3 tank players in the lobby. I'm guessing one of them will be flexing onto a different role then.
There may be a flex looking like it's a potential flex into support, which is fair enough. I guess it'll be interesting to see which one flexes into support, because currently we've got Ishta Boss, but Chriselle isn't here at the moment, but we'll see what happens. They could be bringing something interesting to the table for us all. I think another interesting player to keep an eye on will be Ishta Boss, because I've seen a couple of games and he's brought some pressure to the enemy teams there as he's played on that support. Especially he plays the aim support, so the Ana, it's the Baptiste, that sort of thing. It's going to be interesting to see what pressure he can bring onto, especially that front line with sleeps, everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen from other games here on the channel just how impactful a good Ana can be. Like, a good biotic grenade landing at the start of every team fight, hitting a huge amount of your enemies, means that, well, it's a good way to win team fights. Let's just put it that way. Those biotic grenades can be absolutely devastating. So a well-played aim support can really make a difference. Ana, definitely one of the most impactful support heroes out there. And Baptiste also, like, so much damage potential from Baptiste and those immortality fields as well. A lot can be done to swing those fights. So definitely going to be keeping an eye on that one. And other than that, I mean, the DPS matchups here, and we've got to, I mean, it's hard to say too much until low rolls gets into the lobby here and we can see what players they are fielding. But I mean, Lamington just is down as one of their DPS players, and there's just an all-purpose flex DPS who, from that, it's like, yep, whatever hero you need, they can bring it. Uncle Toby also has a very broad hero pool as well, so it's very hard to predict what the low rolls are actually going to be bringing out in terms of DPS pairings. Definitely have a lot of flexibility on board to make that one work, whereas the hero pool from Team 1, which have apparently renamed themselves to Bloodborne.
Sweet. It's a good name, I think.
I'm sure Bloodborne will be happy about that.
Yeah, no copyright claims, please.
As long as they win, at least. If they lose, Bloodborne will probably disown them. But for those who don't know, Bloodborne is, of course, a pillar of the AoE community and has been on staff for quite some time now. So definitely a name that I'm sure most of you out there know by now.
Exactly right. Now, Peronius, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Who's bringing this amazing tournament together for us?
Of course. So this tournament, obviously brought together. It's all been made to happen by our wonderful sponsor, MyRepublic Gaming. You've heard me bang on about them before, and you're going to hear me bang on them again because they are the #1 broadband provider for gaming in Australia. They offer incredible fixed broadband plans and services to provide ultra-low, ultra-stable latency connections to make sure that you have every edge you need in those online games. So if you haven't already, feel free to check them out. MyRepublic.net is their website. Be sure to check them out if you are looking to change provider.
Absolutely. A good internet connection can be super important for Overwatch. So, thank you to MyRepublic for sponsoring and helping us out there. Speaking of good internet connection, this is not a segue at all, but I've got to claim it as one. The low rolls are finally showing up. We got a few people coming through here. Moira Man and Buggerlugs has arrived. The man, the myth, the legend himself. He's gonna bring us a really good game, I hope. And I really hope, even though it was a fun, dominant game by Team 4 last time, I hope we do see a bit more back and forth, I really want to be able to watch both teams succeed and fail respectively in these fights, because that's what makes Overwatch great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's definitely a good chance of that happening. And Team 1, they've kind of got all the pieces they need. They've got a decently balanced roster across the roles. So they should be able to make things work. They've also, the fact that they're fielding 3 of their tank players means that there's obviously a lot of flexibility here, because we've already got someone flexing onto a role that wasn't their preferred role. And the fact that they're able to make that work means that definitely they've got the flexibility here, and they should be able to make it happen. So they got a fair amount of tools. They've got a very balanced lineup. It really is going to be down to, can they control the I suppose the strong players of the low rolls, right? Because that trio of Buggerlugs, Moorman, and Utterwolf, like, they've played before. They've got a lot of unity there, and they got a lot of unity. They got a lot of synergy, and you've got a pre-made tank duo that are used to playing together. They're going to come out swinging, and it's going to be a lot of pressure on Team Bloodborne to shut that one down. Otherwise, you're just going to see these tanks take over the game.
Exactly right. A good tank line, we talked about it last match, a good tank line can make or break a game. So it looks like we're starting with Buggerlugs and Moya Man. I don't know if they're going to swap that out just yet, but it looks like that's what we're wanting to start on. Frank Stone is subbed out for the meantime. And we're moving into Lijiang Tower. That's going to be our first map. So depending on where we start, you see a lot of Ryan Zarya and a lot of Winston Zarya at the moment on these maps. Wrecking Ball can come out as well. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how the tanks come through. And also with that, what DPS they want to play together. As you said, Lamington is a flex DPS. Uncle Toby hasn't listed he runs the Genji, but Lamington could jump onto it. 12, he's got Genji in his list of players there. And so, yeah, it'll just be very interesting to see what they're going to bring out for us. Speaking of which, it also looks like Susan is going to be our tank that is flexed onto support. So that's fair enough. They have a very well-rounded sort of SR on all of their classes that they play, so I guess they must feel confident in tank and support respectively.
Yeah, that's certainly understandable. It's interesting to see what we get out from them. I imagine, especially on control, you want to run Ishtabos on the flex support, so probably Lucio at least out the doors to get that initial speed boost. And it's like, do you stay on the Lucio? Do you swap over to someone else who can catch up? That becomes the question. We'll see that as we get into the match here. Just waiting for the final confirmation says everyone is ready. And we'll be able to get in here in just a moment. It will be Lijiang Shower, as you say before. Then we'll be heading on to Junkertown and Anubis if we get to it as well. So that's sort of the map pools there. Definitely some long-range maps between Junkertown and Anubis. We'll see how that unfolds. Well, at least Anubis first is long range. Anubis second is a knife fight in a phone booth. So maybe long range on the right.
Absolutely.
the right way to put it out. But we will be starting on Control Center here. So speaking of, the potential of the low rolls tank lineup to take over the map, a great map for it. And Buggerlog is going to lock in that Reinhardt without hesitation. We will see Reinhardts on both sides, Rein Zarya from both sides, and okay. These support, the DPS keep changing.
Yes. This is going to be interesting. See Lammy bringing out the Symmetra, and it looks like they're committing to it. It could just be an early teleporter to get a little bit further, but they could also run it. I mean, Symmetra could be devastating, especially in Control Center with all these closed corners, throwing down the turrets. And yep, that's looking like Lammy is running the Symmetra. Meanwhile, 12V and Poked playing Doomfist and Reaper. This is going to be an interesting lineup. I really want to see what Toby can bring on that Junkrat, because the mind spam in the slowed corner. And yeah, Braxton pulled immediately to Toby's mines. Buggerlugs with the charge as well. 12V tried to get the punch, but just responded so quickly. That was an early win, an early fight. Just pure domination, just from pure damage, really. That's all that was. Pure damage from Junkrat, from right clicks, from Lammy. You can't deal with that.
Yeah, see, 12 is going to swap over to the Junkrat. I didn't hate the Doomfist pick, especially when you're looking at running into a really strong tank lineup. Doomfist could be a great way to disrupt that. But 12 already getting value there, takes out the Symmetra, and Braxton takes down Buggerlugs as well. The gate is open now, and we're going to see Bloodborne charge falls onto the point.
They've already kept that point. They're already done. This fight's over just as quickly as it begun. My gosh, that was just clean fights right there.
Yeah, I mean, that front-loaded damage from the Junkrat there, able to really... I mean, when you take down the Moira as your first kill... Actually, it was Symmetra, wasn't it? Never mind. But nonetheless, the amount of damage that Junkrat can put out in a short amount of time... Well, I mean, it basically ended both these first two fights, regardless of which team it was. And we're going to see the rotation coming through now. They don't want to run into that Junkrat spam. Going to force the... But 12V again!
12V is going crazy right now, and Braxter he just says, okay, one's down, I'm going in right now. Coalescence taking down Artwolf. We do see the Riptide by Toby taking down two. Poke responding on Farah. Farah on this map is very interesting. Closed spaces sometimes doesn't get the value, and 12V's getting those cleaned up kills. It was a good Riptire, but realistically, the early kills there, 12V is dominant on this Junkrat right now. He's showing them how to play Junkrat. He's got Riptire up, and even Lammy swapped. He's gone from Symmetra, he went to McCree, and now he's running the Reaper, trying to just find something to take them down.
Yeah, in this sort of high damage game where the rounds are, the fights are over so quickly, you need a high damage hero, and Reaper is a good one to bring out.
There was a lot of ultimates committed there. There was a grab and a shatter without much value out of it. There's the grab shatter again. Buggerlugs fell during it, but the grab got some value there. 12V now fighting Lammy. 12V is doing the Lord's work right now. Now, they are finally starting to push up, just poked on point, but this fight, I mean, it's 3v1. Braxter's still trying to stall out that time, getting it up to 90%. Lucio's here as well, trying to fall back, trying to get Braxter to fall back, but they got it all the way up to probably 97% there.
Yeah, you are right. 97% on the flip, and now we're going to see the low roll surging forwards, trying to deny that retake. I think once they're all grouped up there, probably going to see them move forwards to try and hold that front room. Maybe not now, because they're still a little spread out, and yeah, the enemy team has taken control of that position. We're just going to play this back on the point. Coalescence to engage this fight. A lot of early pressure coming out.
Poke's getting their early kill. Coalescence following up on Lammy. This is just huge once again for that was a great, just quick cap. They're on overtime now. That's it. First round down there.
Yeah, Bloodborne pick up first round of Control Center, and really well played by them. I was really expecting the low rolls to be the ones taking over, especially this stage of the map, and absolutely isn't what happened there. So hats off to Bloodborne for certainly upsetting my expectations here. Going to be moving over to Lijiang Tower. Oh, we're in the Lijiang Garden. That's the one, the actual one with the tower.
Yeah, exactly right.
for our second matchup here, and that's going to see a bit of a change from both of these teams. Buggerlugs over onto the Winston now, and well, we got Icarus actually rolling out on the Wrecking Ball, and yeah, we will see Braxter on the Winston as well. Let's see how this one unfolds. We do have Ishtabos on the Ana now. Very different support lineups.
Everything's changed. Even 12, he's on Tracer now, so it's looking like they're wanting to run quite a bit more dive on the side of Bloodborne. Meanwhile, the Symmetra Telly straight onto point just to get point presence immediately there. 12 though, getting a back blind kill on Lammy and Big Juice. 12 taking names. They were good on the Junkrat, and now they're taking Tracer, and they're taking names still, taking down Uncle Toby and now Artewolf, who 12's just come out and is showing us how to play DPS tonight.
Yeah, I mean, so the audience out there may be thinking, oh, okay, you know, these teams, they're pug teams. 12 must be like some GM DPS player or something. They're a plat player. I just want to point that out. This is a plat DPS that is taking over this game. So I want to point that one out. Maybe, you know, but really right now it does look like 12 is smurfing down here.
Yeah, it
Does
feels
get
like
punched by Lammy there, but yeah, they have taken over the game so far. I'm super impressed.
Absolutely. Now they have finally taking a little bit of point presence there. Low rolls trying to get on point with the Symmetra teleporter onto like the balcony there. Braxter's fallen to Uncle Toby, but Hopes is taking down Uncle Toby respectively there. 12 is back. He got the revenge on Lammy he so truly desired, and Icarus with the boop on Lucio. You hate to be a Lucio that gets booped. This is a back and forth fight, which is honestly really being valued for Bloodborne here, because that's just racking up as much percentage as they can. There's a minefield on point, and Buggerlugs nearly rolls into it, but 12 gets the final bit of damage. And what looked like a potential win for Low Rolls is now, well, it's still going. Uncle Toby, he's still trying to do it. Uncle Toby's finally fallen. I think that is it now. 69, 70%, all in that one fight. Poke's taking down Lammy. They really need to group up here. This has been a really messy fight by Low Rolls of just constantly feeding in and not grouping up, and that's given them 80% right now.
Yeah, and with Icarus knocking Juice off the map there as well, it really means that they're not going to have a lot of time for it. They maybe are going to get one last group up as a team. They might actually have to push the trigger a little early. Oh, it is Lucio. He does get back rather quickly. But, I mean, look at this. This is it. They've got to get onto that point, and they're not playing a great team comp to make that happen. Uncle Toby picks up 12 though. That's a good opening.
The Rocket Barrage has responded. Artewolf's taken down Susan with Coalescence, but I don't think it matters at this point. Minefield comes out by Icarus, and there's the minefield by Buggerlugs. This is a dangerous place to play, and actually, Buggerlugs might have just clutched it up for old Low Rolls there. 12 though, throwing the pulse bomb, doesn't get the connect. Buggerlugs just trying to stall out. That Josie is back, or Juice, however you want to say it right now. 12's taking down Buggerlugs though. We've just got Lucio stalling out on point here. We got Winston's returned. And Uncle Toby. This is not looking good for the Low Rolls as they're slowly falling one by one, and they couldn't get the touch. Wow, what a dominant play by Bloodborne. Low Rolls came out strong. They looked like they were doing well, and then 12 swapped onto that Junkrat and just showed us how to play this game tonight.
Yeah, I am super impressed because this was not something I was expecting. And I said before the match, when we weren't on broadcast, that the Low Rolls were probably my favorite for getting out of group. I think I mentioned I was expecting maybe Low Rolls v... I said Low Rolls v Team 4 later on could be the key one. But Bloodborne coming out here saying, look, how dare you underestimate us? We're just going to take that as a cast of curse and absolutely show you up. And sure enough, they've done exactly that. Just great performances coming out here. It's been messy, it's been bloody, it's been chaotic, but they have been dominant in those conditions. That said, that's what Control's all about. We're going to be moving over to Escort now as we swap over to Junkertown, which means it's a chance for a different pace of game. And maybe, just maybe, that's where the Low Rolls fight back. Who knows? We'll find out.
Absolutely. We're going to watch the low rolls here now, see how they're going to respond. Because it's payload, because it's not control, you don't feel that desperation of the fight's still going, I better go back and get a touch. They're going to want to group up more now, which is a little bit of what we saw was the struggle with low rolls, was just two people constantly going in and trying to win that fight that was really a lost fight. Because I mean, Icarus, Braxter, and 12 those were a lot of the names coming up on the board in that last fight, of just getting those value picks on the supports to make sure that the rest of the team can't be healed. We saw 12 just dominating backline like that. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to respond.
And it looks like Frank Stone will be coming in for this second map there. Moyerman sitting this one out, so we will have a substitution for the low rolls.
The substitution can bring in such a change, because if they think that Frank Stone can bring something that Moyerman can't on this payload map, that could be crucial to a win or a loss here. So it's going to be interesting to see how now with this new tank coming through, it's going to bring in a little bit of value. It'll also be interesting to see if Bloodborne wants to do a swap, because yes, they do. Kriselki has swapped out with Susan. Was our tank that was flexing onto support, and I mean, realistically, I didn't see any holes in it there. So
yeah, there were no holes in the lineup, which means this is basically like with Susan flexing onto a non-primary role. Now Kriselki coming in to take over that main support role. This is basically a net power upgrade for Bloodborne as well. The low rolls, we will see if they have what they need here. Because, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this like, unless the low rolls show us something completely different from what we just saw, this is looking like Bloodborne take this one 2-0. We'll see.
Absolutely. Now we're moving into Junkertown. Junkertown's just starting up here. And I mean, you were talking about how Cressel is an immediate upgrade, and even the SR speaks wonders. We're going from around 2,100 to 3,000. So definitely a huge upgrade there. The support value coming through now to keep Braxter alive, to keep Icarus alive, will be incredible for Bloodborne. And hopefully the low rolls can respond to that with this Frank Stone swap out here. But it's just going to be interesting to see what they bring. It looks like Frank Stone's wanting to run the Sigma. Icarus also playing Sigma as well on the defense.
Yeah, it's not too surprising. I think it's looking like we're going to be having a lot of snipers or sniper adjacent heroes coming out. Widows from both teams. And of course, Lammy on the Ash versus Poked on the Hanzo. Both able to provide a lot of long-range damage. So it's not too surprising we also see some Mercies to boost those as well. It's interesting Bugalogs is going to be coming out on the Hog, so we're going to be seeing a bit more of a pick comp here from the attackers there. They're basically eschewing the majority of the shields and just going to be relying on...
Ooh. What a beautiful hook! As you were saying, the pick up Bugalogs gets a great hook with a headshot onto Poke. 12 responds, taking out Artwolf though. But I mean, that's going to be much more favorable for the attack team, as the defense has to take a long time to come back. And so this is just huge value right now for Bugalogs, taking down, I think it was Poked there. Bugalogs now just trying to get a wee flank around. He's found Widow, and 12 he's taken down as well. Bugalogs showing us why he is that GM, why we were talking about him. Just putting on so much pressure right now. Braxter's fallen to Uncle Toby. The res does come off, but I mean, look how much payload progress they've made. They've already made it around the first bend here. They've gotten off a little bit. Zen's finally getting back on. Widow battle happening. 12 taking down Lammy, but the res is good once again. This is just going to be good, clean progress for the low rolls right now, trying to just push through. Uncle Toby! Stop it, please! These headshots are disgusting. Chriselle's taken down, which is so much healing gone. 12 now finally saying, Uncle Toby, go away. And 12 is putting on a show once again on this Widow. I mean, it's been a bit more of a struggle for Bloodborne, but 12 is showing us that he can play anything he puts his mind to right now.
Absolutely. Great performance coming out there. Well, now we finally see the defense getting their feet out from under them. Even as I say that, though, Poked does get cleaned up by Frankston. So it's a bit of an interesting position. I mean, Buggerlogs is just going to go super aggressive and deny people coming back into the fight. Uncle Toby takes out 12 yet again. So this payload continuing to push forward. So much for the defense getting their feet from under them. It looks like they're probably going to need to back up and set up a defense on that second point, because this first point is done.
The Buggerlugs playing Roadhog was such a great decision, because if you get those hookshot kills, there's just so much value, especially when it's on a support. I mean, Braxter's already falling low. He has to try and pull back to his team. Crystal giving him the healing he needs. 12 getting a good early kill onto Lammy. They need to make some value out of it. The res comes through, and here comes some infra sights. Uncle Toby knows where you are. You want to play around these corners now. You don't want to peek. You don't want to get hit. Out comes a Gravitic Flux. Braxter's pick up. There was enough support, not enough value out of it, so no kills happening. The whole hog from behind gets slapped. This is a lot of ults are coming out now. They're just pressing every Q button they have possible. You see Valkyrie coming out, and this is starting to look like defense. Uncle Toby, though, getting the kill onto Kraselki, and no one's playing on payload. They actually haven't pushed it this whole time. This fight's been so back and forth, but because of all these flankers, the payload hasn't had any progress, and Frankstone's finally sitting on payload. That could have been a mistake there.
I mean, it maybe, but in the end, you probably needed, with how messy things were, you probably needed your Zenyatta to come forwards and provide the support, so you couldn't just keep them back there. The important thing is they've dislodged the defensive position and taken all of it over all their space. So maybe they don't cap the absolute fastest, but they're still making really good progress here. We're seeing a great comeback here from the low rolls. Here comes Poke, though, with the attack visor, immediately answered by the Transcendence.
Yep, and a Bob comes up as well. Icarus and 12 are taking names right now, though. 12 in the backline, just taking down whatever he can, trying to get Artwolf now. And the dynamite does come through, and Artwolf does get taken down by the dynamite. That is unfortunate for them. Buggerlug still harassing the backline, and that's realistically what's been a lot of the value right now, is just Buggerlugs in this backline just taking names.
Yeah, it's always like I have that moment of like hesitation when you have your main tank locking in, say, a hog, and it shows that, yeah, you're not really going for a traditional tank line here, but it's worked out really well for them. It's provided a lot of pressure. That said, the defense is finally starting to get a handle for things here. They will be able to lock down this fight here. That was a rather quick and decisive turnabout there. Golvian Poke again, just racking up all the kills. The Valkyrie was invested by Kraselki, so that is one less resource for the defenses. They kind of don't have any ultimates against this next push, but there's not really anything that's too unlikely to be a major threat to them. I mean, Buggerlugs has the whole hog up, but it's such a hard ult to get high amounts of value out of, and outside
it's in this room. He thinks he can get it, but he gets bolted. Oh, he tried to get the value in that room, and it would have been perfect, but unfortunately the boulder came through by Icarus. Icarus has been getting some clean boulders to shut down just value plays there, but a good hook by Buggerlugs is taking down Poked. They're going to get aggressive now. Lammy taken down by 12E. It's looking a bit even now, but there goes Braxter, and I think that's going to be a really big deciding factor. Nano has to come out for Icarus. He gets the boulder onto Frank, but Artewolf's taking names on 12E now, and I think this is where the defense, they're going to want to play it safe. They're going to want to pull back a little bit. You don't want to get these stagger picks here, especially when Buggerlugs is out here taking names. Braxter's finally returned. There's a Shatter and a Gravitic Flux. Icarus' last Gravitic Flux value, and that's the value you want there. Getting the Mercy. Juice is now taking down. 12 getting the kill onto Lammy. Buggerlugs backline doing the whole hog. Hopes finishes it off, and I think defense have it here. Just 2 stragglers left, and they're just going to get out alive.
Yeah, again, the defense able to weather the storm. It looked like maybe, just maybe, they were going to get taken apart piece by piece. In the end, it doesn't work out there. 12E and Poke continuing to put on a great performance, and it definitely shows.
Now we see Buggerlug.
Yeah, running out of time here.
Yeah, I guess that's why they went to the Wrecking Ball pick. They just want to stall out. Bob's come out by 12 and it gets slept. It's not going to do too much to the enemy team. He will wake up and get a little bit of value onto the back line, onto Artewolf. And here comes the tactical visor. 12's Bob finally getting that value after he had a little bit of a nap. And Tac Visor just putting pressure on that back line. It's going to be up to Buggerlug to get the touch. Lammy's also there. He puts down a wee bit of healing, but Braxton gets nanoed. You don't want a nanoed Reinhardt in your face. He's just going to take you down. what looked like a dominant force on the first point of Junkertown led to the second phase, and defense finally got their bearings.
Yeah, I mean, the low rolls came out swinging, as you say, but in the end, Bloodborne able to get their feet back under them, establish a strong defense, and just lock it down there. It looked like, especially with that early team fight victory on point 2, maybe that good defensive position had been denied. But in the end, it does turn out to be the fact that they hadn't got the payload progress, as you said, at the time, that meant that the defense was able to come back in, re-establish, and hold that really good defensive ground on second. And they get the defense here. This is looking really good for Bloodborne. The low rolls need to show us something really special here and now if they want to keep their hopes alive in this series. Because this is looking like a Bloodborne victory here. And that's going to make it very hard for the low rolls to get out of this group.
It will be quite the upset, as we've discussed, if this does happen. I think Buggerlugs is going to be key to the victory here. They are going to even need to get a few critical picks on the defensive, on the attacking team, onto Bloodborne, to make sure that any push that they try to make gets no value whatsoever. But I mean, if one pick happens onto low rolls, it could just become a bit of a steamroll, as we saw on first point, and so we don't want that to happen. And out come the doors, and early Bionade gets 4. No one really there to get any value out of it. Uncle Toby didn't see anyone, and he gets dynamited. Ishta Boss manages to get the value there, taking them down. That was devastating right there. We're going to see Bloodborne now start pushing through massively. Buggerlugs is trying to get a little bit of a flank kill there, but they're falling back right now. Icarus is putting the pressure so that Buggerlugs just gets no value. Braxton, look how far they've already pushed. And now Pope getting a good kill onto Lammy. Buggerlugs has got in 12E. That is one of their big players. That's a good pick. But look how much payload progress they're making. Uncle Toby just shooting shields right now. They don't know what to shoot. Icarus with the boulder. This is looking really good for Bloodborne right now. I'm getting nervous for the low rolls.
And Buggerlugs is super deep, just trying to chase down those units. Now we actually see Braxton going down here. This is a chance to finally establish it as the rest of Bloodborne collapses back to take out Buggerlugs. Still, there's a lot of members still alive here, and with the payload in this position, it's super awkward to get back. We do have Frankstone coming back on the Sigma as well, so it's really going to be down to the next kill deciding the course of this fight.
Icarus pops the Gravitic Flux, but I think that nano was a misclick onto the Baptiste. I think that was meant to go to Frankstone. That could be crucial right there, but Uncle Toby and Artwolf, they don't care right now. Buggerlug spots the whole hog, and I think that's going to be a hold once more. That attack was potentially going to be valuable, but it looks like there was just a little bit of a misclick nano, but it really kind of worked out anyway for low rolls. Icarus just stalling out now. His team is coming back. Braxton's here to help out now. Gravitic Flux coming through by Frankstone. Doesn't get any kills, but that's half of their health gone onto both tanks. Nano onto Poach now. Nano Visor, and they take down 2, 3. They're taking names. That's going to be huge. Ishtabos has been taken down by Buggerlugs, but realistically it's just 2 left. With 5 on point and the res for Ishtabos. It's just Frankstone now. It's going to be first point.
Yeah, that Nano Visor, absolutely devastating. And it is sort of the weakness of this playstyle we're seeing from Bloodborne. They don't have a main tank with a big shield. They're really relying on Frankstone's shield. Frankstone actually going to swap over to the Reinhardt there. But they're also playing really spread out with Buggerlugs getting very aggressive. And it just means that when you have something like the Visor coming out, you don't have anywhere to hide. That said, we got a couple of early kills coming through here. Rez does come through back onto 12E, but this could be a quick fight win coming through for Bloodborne. They're looking to pick a fight here at least.
They pop the amplification matrix. There's a fire strike, doesn't connect onto anyone. Just trying to get as much damage through as possible. Frankstone now touching the point. They've swapped over to Reinhardt from Sigma, and Sigma pops the ult. They pop Nano once again onto Juice. The Shatter, he jumps over the Shatter! What a well-timed jump. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I respect it. Buggerlugs, though, throwing whole hog down that hallway, taking down Braxter. The defense is coming through, but it's really messy right now, and realistically, Bloodborne just keep getting value in the payload. Low rolls, you're gonna have to figure something out. Anti-nade onto Buggerlugs, and they can't play right now, they're scared. Frankstone just playing onto the point. 12 on that Tracer gets the recall to stay alive from everything that's going along, and the anti-nade onto Buggerlugs means they just fall. Juice is gone. Tactical Visor just to finish off the kills, and that's going to be a cap right there. That was, once again, another dominant performance by our teams.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a few moments there where the low rolls had some signs of life in there. They had some good defenses, but in the end, Team Bloodborne absolutely carving open that one. Just a really great performance all around by their players. You love to see it. But in the end, that means that's another like swift 2-0 here for these teams. Does it mean that Group A is looking very stacked here so far?
Absolutely. We've had some dominant performances by a lot of, especially their DPS players. I feel like the DPS players have been showing us just great Overwatch, great mechanical skill, but also the tank lines have just been showing us how to get the crucial picks. I mean, even with Buggerlugs on that Roadhog, they were getting so many good picks, but the rest of the team was just so split up because of it that the team fell apart on that push there. So it didn't work out perfectly how they expected, unfortunately. But it happens. Realistically, you know, you can't win them all. It was really good games to watch, and I'm excited to see what we have next.
Yeah, definitely. I'm especially impressed with Braxter because I did say coming into this one, like, it's going to be a lot of pressure on to controlling Buggerlugs, right? He is, you know, the highest SR player in the lobby, very dangerous tank player. But Braxter was proved absolutely up to the challenge. There was no point in this tank matchup where it looked like Buggerlugs was just bullying the other tanks. There were definitely some times where Buggerlugs was bullying some other members of Bloodborne. But the tank v tank matchup, Braxter rose to the challenge and put up a solid performance. And my hat is off to that one because that is not the easiest thing in the world to do.
Absolutely. And it's going to be cool to watch these next two dominant teams and see whether it becomes a really even fight, because 12e showed us they can play a lot of different heroes. We saw the Widow, we saw the Tracer, we saw the Junkrat. So that means they're confident enough to counter what was the last team? Team 4. They didn't rename themselves. That's why I couldn't remember their name, because they stayed Team 4. Team 4, they threw out the Pharah, the Widow, and there was just no counter pick that was able to come through for K3. So it'll be interesting to see how 12e and Poked responds to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a good one. Unfortunately, that will not be broadcast. The next matchup we'll be heading over to will be Team 13 versus Team 11. So we'll be bringing you that one shortly. Stay tuned. We'll be back real soon.
What's up with it?
Ready?
Yeah, what's up with it?
Welcome back, everyone, to the 5th Rocket Cup brought to you by MyRepublic Gamer. Looks like it will be a bit more of a wait until our next matchup. So that's going to be the end of my and Apara's segment of the broadcast. We'll be handing over to Papadaga and Stranger going forwards. So give them a warm welcome when they join you. I'm just going to go back to another quick break, and then we'll get you into the third round of this tournament. So stay tuned. We'll be back real soon.
See you later.
Ready?
Yeah, what's up with it?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rocket Cup, sponsored by MyRepublic, of course. We just handed over the casters here. We've taken the torch from our boys there, and it's time now for us to shine, I guess. So I'm Stranger, and joining me tonight is Papadaka. How's it going, Pap?
I'm doing very well myself. It is great to be here for this Rocket Cup. This is my first cast here, but I have played in it before, so it's interesting getting a new perspective on this wonderful tournament.
That's right. We've seen some great gameplay tonight already. Some huge stuff coming out from the tank lines. These mixed teams have been doing a lot to try and figure out how to play together, since they haven't really played with each other before, and it's really showing. We see every now and then some teams are struggling a little bit, but then it's those that can come out on top and with the good communication and all that to make it happen. So yeah, should we just go through the teams here for this coming up match?
Yes, so round 3, it's $20 versus Team 11. If I can find... So Team 11, they consist of Razul on the main tank, I believe, and then Clarky is off-tanking. He said he can play every off-tank, so it'll be interesting to see what he pulls out tonight. We got Uwu Bitch, I hope I can say that. Twitch, please help. He'll be your hit scan. We've got Olam. They will be the projectile DPS, it looks like. Then we've got Nor on the supports. And also Bamley, Bamai, sorry, apologies, are also supporting. And they've got an average SR of 3,042, so very interesting players. Looks like the tanks will be really dictating, as they are far above in SR range. So it'll be interesting to see how they work around with, the other individuals of their team.
That's right. It is quite a tank-heavy side there. But look, over on the other side, Team 13, or as $20 is the actual name now. They're a little bit higher on that average SR, running at 3,200 instead. So over there we've got sorry, just let me enhance this real quick. We've got, is it Bridgie on the main tank there? They run on that Zarya, Diva Hog, Sigma, Ball, anything except Reinhardt apparently. We've got Rusty as well rolling up on that off tank, looking like they're keen for more of like a Winston Ryan kind of role, so running in with that shield. Again, those two tanks being quite heavy on the SR as well. So that's interesting. Both tank lines being quite good here. It might be coming up to that front line facing to see how well they perform.
Indeed. Then we got Nox. I played with Nox previously. He's an amazing player, especially Genji, and his Widow is also spectacular to see. Very excited to see how he is able to operate within the team, for sure. Did you run through the others? I'm sorry.
No, carry on, dude.
Oh, okay. I'll carry on then. 9 Co-Claws. Likes the Soldier, Ashe, and Tracer. Both Nox and 9 Co-Claws loving that Tracer, so it'll be interesting that, who will fight for superiority with the Tracer. Then we've got, on the support line, we've got Yantika on Ana, Zen, Lucio, Moira, and Mercy. Almost everyone except Brig, which is fair enough. I can't play Brig either. Then we've got Jan or Jane on... Look, he's got a very wide sort of hero selection pool, but it seems like he's been picked for their support for tonight with the Ana Lucio.
Yeah, a bit of overlap there on the supports. I mean, I guess it's always handy to have that flexible player there as well. That kind of thing can come in very handy in these kind of competitions. But again, the Yanka being the superior support in the SR department there, quite a difference. Was it 4,000? And Jean's all the way down at 1,500. So hopefully their teamwork can balance that out, and they'll perform as good as a unit. I think that means a lot more than an individual's SR usually.
Indeed.
Anyway.
I mean, when joining teams, it's kind of like you have that mentality of it's not the SR that matters, it's how good you are in the communications and how much you're willing to learn within the team. So, if Jan's up to the challenge, he can climb 3,000 SR in one night. There's no reason if he's he's good at comms. I'm sure it'll be really, really good tonight. We've also got Benji 4,112 tank SR. That is really impressive. You can see he's a very off-tanky sort of player. Zarya, Diva, Hog, Sig, and Ball. So the meta favouring off-tanks quite well at the moment, with barriers just kind of getting deleted, although I have seen a resurgence of Winston. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comps they run out, especially because they don't really know each other that well. They've only just met, you know, maybe 4 hours ago. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is a hard thing trying to come up and join a group that you don't know, especially I'd say in a team that does have like a big SR gap. Maybe the kind of thought patterns for them is quite varying in terms of like how they think, you know, the kind of competitive thought patterns on who to focus, who's getting the heal, how we like timing this push, that kind of thing.
Exactly, and especially for the lower SR, it's highly likely this might be their first team experience. My first Rocket Cup was my first ever team experience, and it was vastly different than any comp communication I've ever had because, you know, you got 6 members, you know, all in one comms just constantly talking. It was an amazing experience. So for those new people that have just signed up, you're going to have a ripper of a time and really enjoy yourself. Another ripper of a great time will be our next round. Round 4, where we've got Hydration Nation, who I believe is Team 7, and then 6 heads, Team 8. Do you want to run through, Stranger?
Yeah, sure. I'll start off with Team 7 over there. So Apollo, I've seen them play quite a few times before, running around that 3000 SR rank. They were on the main tank, running around on Diva, Hog, Zarya, and Sigma kind of thing. Seen Apollo play a lot before. They're really solid on that tank line, so that's a great person to have there in that front. Zimperial? I'm sorry. On the Sigma there as a backup tank. Scrim as well coming out on that DPS, so running probably Soldier in this current format. They actually look like they have double hit scan preference on the DPS, with Choo Choo also wanting to run on the hit scan side of things. So it'll be interesting to see how those two kind of work around that with each other, and what kind of characters they pick out of that there. Yumpling coming out on the support, really flexible there, just happy to do any. And same with Daddy Scoopers. Would that be how you say that one? Daddy Scoopers also happy with so 2 very flexible supports there, both running around that 3000 SR, and the DPS as well, similar range. So it's quite a balanced overall team there. Their average coming out at pretty much 3000, very close to. So quite a flexible support line. I mean, the double hit scan could be really good, could be a problem as well. Depends. Soldier right now, of course, very powerful in the current meta. So we'll have to see. I mean, they can't have 2 soldiers. That's the problem.
I don't mean to butt heads here, but I have played with Scrim once or twice, and he was even part of my sister team when I was part of an organization, and he played a lot of projectile DPS. Okay. He played a lot of Pharah, very good at Genji, very competent at that sort of projectile hero, and then, you know, we've got Choo Choo on the hit scan. So I do think that they're very competent DPS on the line of Team 7. Because, yeah, I've definitely seen Scrim play before, and my goodness, he is a very good player across the board. Masters in all DPS, support, and tank, and you can't get there by one-tricking, indeed. So, but yeah, so my standout would be, Scrim, and then I've also Cryonics as well. I've played with Cryonics myself, and he was also part of the sister team with Scrim. Very dominating, very good heals, and yes, he can definitely switch in and out of whatever support you may need. Right, moving on to their opponent now, Team 8, or as they are known, I believe, 6 heads. So they've got Fletcher, who plays a bit of the Diva, Zarya, Sig, Ball, and Hog, another very loved off-tank, I see. And speaking of off-tank, we have Yeet on the Just Plays off-tank with a nice SR of 3,500. Then we've got 3 head, who loves playing the Tracer, Echo, and the Genji. Then we've got Goose on the Pharah, Echo. So nice little mix up there. Both, we might see some double Sky. I see Pharah and Echo in both DPS, lineups. Then we've got Minxie? How would you say that, Stranger?
Probably Minxie.
Minxie? Yep. No, you're right. On the aim support, he loves playing any aim support, just like me. But that would be, Ana, Moira, Zen. that sort of stuff. And then you've got Monferno, who just says main support, so he's loving that main support with the Lucio, Mercy, and maybe a Brig if need be. This is a very competent team across the board. Again, just like Team 7, their SRs are pretty much in range except for Monferno, who is just above gold. But that's how I was with my first Rocket Cup, and I ended up winning it. So that's not to say that Monferno can't pick up the flag and, Lucio speed boost on if he does end up playing Lucio. My first Rocket Cup, I played with Goose. She is an amazing Farah Echo player. Indeed, definitely carried me. I was just the Mercy on her back, all the damage boost you, I got you. So I'm feeling like Monferno might be forced onto that Mercy since Goose loves that Farah Echo. Bit of a one trick, but still in Masters, so what can I say? Yes, a very interesting lineup tonight.
Yeah. So currently some of the teams still finishing off round 2 here. But while we're having a bit of a fill in here, we'll just talk about the standings. We can have a look. We can see a couple of the teams already and their results. And it looks like, looking into this next match coming up, that we've got the team 7 and 8 that we're coming into. Yeah, so Hydration Nation and Six Heads both having won one of their matches there. We're just waiting on the standing on the next round, but that's a pretty good sign that they're going to be quite a balanced matchup already, with not looking like there's any roll. But looking on that second round at $20 versus Team 11, $20 running in with a double win, and Team 11 having lost their first round there, so might be a little bit less of a more of a one-sided event potentially.
Yeah, possibly. It'd be interesting to see, but I'm not surprised that Six Heads and Hydration Nation both got very competent players either side there, taking out the first match. Looks like pretty convincingly by the look of things. Whereas, Team 10, I reckon they can come back. I reckon they can do this. They've got the fight, they've got the players to do so. And then 20 heads. 20 bucks, 20 heads, 20 bucks. I still had 3 heads in my head. No, 20 bucks. I'm sure they'll do an amazing job indeed. Which they did previously. I'd love to see where they go coming into this next match. In a bit of more of a. Both Team 7 and Team 8 will be feeling very good about themselves leading into this matchup, both coming off a win, so their mental game will be super strong. So I'm so excited to see the fast-paced, action-packed matchup that I'm really hoping for, so fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, I'd just like to remind you all, guys, that the Rocket Cup is brought to you by MyRepublic, and they have fantastic offers for gamers. It's all about having that consistent latency connection, trying to have that upper edge on your opponent. So make sure that you visit myrepublic.net, check out their deals that they've got going on, and just make sure that you have a look at it.
Yeah, and our other sponsor tonight is My Water Bottle. Make sure to stay hydrated while you watch our games and while you play, and also while I talk, because I'm already, my mouth is already dry, so while I take a sip.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a good couple of games. Right now, looking like most teams are gonna be like kind of in that balanced range SR wise. So the organizers done a good job to keep it really well balanced across these teams. I mean, this time everyone's floating around that 3,000 kind of zone, which is really solid. But hopefully that means that we don't have any crazy wiped teams and we end up having like a pretty close couple of games coming up.
I want it close. I want it to at the throats of each other. Come on, give me that close matchup. I'm really, really pumped. I wonder what if they'll run sort of the meta, or because they know that haven't been together for so long, it'd be like, okay, let's just pick our comfort picks. What's everybody's everyone's strengths? Rather than changing, like there's a lot of off-tank players. If we look at Team 8, they only have off-tanks, and even Team 7, off-tanks. So maybe they might run the classic Roadhog Zarya, which was meta for maybe about a month ago. So
yeah, you're right. Not a lot of Reinhardt on those lists as well. So
I mean,
People opting a little bit more for the movement, maybe. Maybe that's
the
more.
poor guy, Reinhardt's in a really rough spot. Like, yeah, he's really, really map dependent. You can't just go, okay, Reinhardt, we'll play Brawl, we'll just rush into them, because there's so many characters now that can just destroy Reinhardt, especially, you know, Goose on that Pharah Echo. Just pumping damage from afar, and then, you know, if you have a poke comp, you just poke down Reinhardt's shield. What's he gonna do? So I think that's why Winston's a little bit more favoured at the moment, because he's just got that a little bit more movement. And then I know a lot of Reaper is favoured, because if they do play Roadhog, then you just shoot his big belly and he goes down. That's a lot of ult charge as well for the Reaper.
So the ult battery.
Exactly. I mean, once his hook's down, and again, that's why Sombra's played, because once he's hacked, he's just a sitting ult battery, the poor guy. But a dominant Roadhog can just clean up an unsuspecting team. I've cast one match before where there was a Roadhog that just stood above the rest, and he was absolutely incredible. His hooks did not miss, and I'm seeing a lot of hogs as well that are saying, yes, I can play Roadhog, I can play Roadhog. So I'm wondering if we're going to have, you know, the piggy in the middle, I suppose, so to speak, with how much they can utilize the players that they have.
Well, especially in like a confusing format like this, where the team might not be perfectly coordinated or organized, it's a lot easier to just find those gaps and break in with that hook, you know. It's same with the characters like Widowmaker we saw earlier on, 12E coming out with that Widowmaker, like just a little bit easier to find the gaps between the shielding and that formation, and sometimes that's just all you need to get the ball rolling, kind of thing.
Oh, especially when you have like new players coming into the scene, you might have, you know, especially I know there's some lowest SR wise with the support, so with the Roadhog again, if you just flank with the Roadhog, unless you know, the support is suspecting it, the poor unsuspecting support is going to get hooked and absolutely rolled. So it's about the communication coming from the more experienced players, making sure that their, you know, supports will be safe in those backlines, especially if you start playing stuff like Ana, where you do have to sort of back up from your team. Which again is why maybe you might see a bit more of the Moira Lucio, which is becoming a little bit more played than normal, so that you can stick with your tanks. You don't have to you know, distance yourself and then get absolutely rolled by a Roadhog that went on a 3,000 kilometer flank just to get you. It's like you haven't seen him half the game and he just pops up and kills you. Those are the annoying bits of Roadhog, but you got to respect the dedication to a Roadhog that does go on those kind of flanks.
Yeah, I think that like you said, those kind of plays are important, and but there is a time and place. You can also leave your front line heavily exposed with that kind of play, so it's important.
Exactly.
Again, a lot of pressure on the tanks, but also these teams coming up very, very tank heavy means maybe we will see that kind of stuff. You know, they might be the make and break kind of plays.
I mean, on Team 11, the SR for tanks is absolutely through the roof, or almost GM, so they'll be extremely conscious of, you know, Hogs flanking, or, you know, Winston's diving, or again, like Hogs on the opposite team, just out of position, and I go, okay, now we go in. Now that the Hog is trying to get our Ana all the way back in the back, let's just rush him. And that can be a way that you can definitely counter that sort of constant flanking that we might see. But even Team 11, having said all that, their tanks, again, play off tanks. We're not seeing any Reinhardt, the poor guy. No Winston either. So you just got to keep your fingers crossed to see a little bit of the main tanks with their shields coming out. But I'm just suspecting a lot of heavy damage comps. It's going to be
how much do
quite
you feel like having Soldier being slightly more powerful now, we get the old, like, you know, a lot more shield pressure, that sustained shield pressure as well. Do you think that has a big effect on how people are picking their tanks at the moment?
Good question. I haven't seen much Soldier despite his buff. I suppose maybe on the defense, as long as you have some high ground, you might be alright. But I mean, if you've got the aim and the brain, Ashe still seems like the consistently better Soldier to be able to not quite pump damage, but that dynamite and then the headshots that you can land, especially the Mercy damage boost, instantly killing them instead of, you know, giving the Ana time to nade herself or something like that. while yes, it is slightly better, and he does have legs so he can run, he's still your very bog standard FPS. But that might just be me not being very meta at the moment, but playing comp the other day, I didn't see much Soldier run. Be interesting to see what the contenders start running when that starts up again.
Yeah.
For sure, but I'm still that Ash. And then, of course, the Bob. Bob is an amazing ultimate at the moment, especially with the types of compositions that I've been seeing a lot. Just even as a 7th man on the cart, or displacing just the backline. Whereas, 76, if you've got the aim, then his ultimate's almost useless in a way, I suppose, unless, of course, you get the nano tac visor. Then it's absolutely brutal. So I would love to see some Soldier. I haven't seen legs in a comp for a long, long time.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting because as well, like it looks like every single support player on this team coming up, they're all happy to play Ana. So that nano visor actually being a real threat all of a sudden is quite different. I don't know if people are really used to dealing with it because it hasn't been as good as it could have been for a long time, So people are getting a little bit caught out by it, I'd say.
It's very, very true. I mean, you can pull out a Bastion and people don't know how to deal with it because it's like, no one runs this,
Yeah.
I played comp just yesterday and there was this one Bastion that we could not kill because we're not used to Bastion being run, but it was such a cancerous comp, stranger. It was hell. It was honestly hell. It made me want to uninstall Overwatch like every Overwatch player ever. But I am told. There's apparently a new Valorant sort of competition that's coming out called Conquest Clash. It's a brand new Valorant tournament from OCE designed to provide players with regular casual competition. Anyone can sign up to play in the weekly Friday night matches, playing a best of one match each week at 7 p.m. AEDT, and completing in a round robin bracket against anybody in their division. Brackets and tournaments info will be organised in the official AAOL Esports Discord channel or server. Even if you don't have a team, you can sign up for our free agent programs, just like we do for Overwatch, and get provided with support, management, and coaching from us. That is a great opportunity for any Valorant players. There will be a link to the Discord server down below this stream. So yeah, go and check it out if you're into Valorant.
You play any Valorant yourself, mate?
I don't. I am. No, I do not. So the reason why Overwatch brought me in so much is because I couldn't aim. I was shocking. I was the sort of single player sort of guy with where I didn't have to aim as much with swords and maybe bows and arrows and such. But I always wanted to play something social, so I could talk with people and not have to play these story games like Life is Strange for the 7th time. So Overwatch, oh my goodness, there's a Reinhardt, and I don't have to aim as Reinhardt. So he was my first sort of love because I was like, oh my gosh, I can do so much. And this was all the way back in like late 2016 when Reinhardt was actually playable, for sure. Although having said that, all the way back in 2016 there was that triple Lucio, triple Winston.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're going
times.
back a few millennia, it feels like now. But anyway, that's what really drew me to it. So back to Valorant. No, I have not played any Valorant. I've watched maybe a whole 30 seconds of the game myself. But I can definitely see the appeal of that